Hi all, today let's learn about promises in JavaScript. So before understanding promises, first understand what is the need of asynchronous programming in JavaScript. You know that JavaScript works in a single thread, so that's why we need asynchronous programming so that we can perform multiple tasks in parallel, okay? So that the performance is not impacted. Otherwise, the main thread will be blocked, okay? So for performing asynchronous programming, we need a thing called promises. Okay, so promises are basically a task which represent that whether the operation is getting performed successfully or not in the future, basically in the parallelly. Okay, so let's get started with promises. Let me first create a promise for you. Let's name it promise one. So this is the syntax for creating a promise. Basically, it's an object. Okay, so in the constructor, we will have a arrow function. So this is how it will look. Okay, so in the arrow function we will have two parameters, one is resolve and other is reject. Okay, so if I go inside it, so let's say in a very simple scenario, I want a thing to perform asynchronously, that when an operation is successful I want to print a message success, and if it is failed or it is not getting satisfied, it should print some issue. Okay, so in that scenario, let's say the operation is let a is equal to 8. Very simple. I know it's not practical, but I'm just telling you in the very basic way first of all. Okay, so let a is equal to a. So if this is true, if a is equal to 8, then what I want is I want to resolve this promise. Resolve this promise means I will write it like this, resolve, and inside it what I want to return. That means if a is equal to 8, which is a success, which is getting properly resolved, then I want to give a message operation successful. Let's write operation successful in that scenario. Else, if a is not equal to a, then I'm going to reject it. So I'm going to reject it and I will write some issue encountered. Okay, so this is a very simple scenario. In actual, what will happen is, let's say some data is coming from API, and I want to display it on the UI. Okay, so let us say I am receiving the data from API here, and if I put a condition like if the data is received from API successfully, then I will resolve this and I will show that the yeah, I got the data. And if it is not, then I will go to the else block, I will reject it. Okay, so this is the way promise works. So this is our simple promise. Okay, now how to handle this promise? Okay, we have created the promise, then what to do if it is getting resolved successfully? I want to, let's say in our scenario, I just want to print a message that it is done, it is okay. And if it is getting failed, that means it is getting rejected, and then I want to show a different message. Okay, so in that scenario I will call the promise and I will use this notation dot then, similarly dot catch. Okay, so inside a dot then also I will put a arrow function. So this is our arrow function. Similarly in the catch block I will use arrow function. So now what is going to happen? We will go to the dot then block of the promise when the promise is getting resolved. Okay, so this is basically a value which is returned when the promise is resolved. Okay, and this is the value which we are returning if the promise is getting rejected. So it will go to the catch block if the promise is getting rejected, and it will receive this value here, and it will receive this value in the dot then. Okay, so I let me write data here, and in the catch I will write error. So error is basically this thing, and data is basically this thing, the value. And let me console this for you. So console.log data, console.log error. Okay, so let's see what we are getting. before that, let me also tell you that this resolve and reject also are a function. These are callback functions which we are calling in the scenario when our operation is successful. So let us say a is equal to 8. That means the operation is worked fine. Then we are going to resolve it. So we are calling this resolve in the as a parameter in the arrow function. Okay, this is getting called. This is a callback function. Okay, and with this value, we are returning this value. Similarly, reject is also a callback function. Okay, let me save it and now let's run it. You can see on running we are getting operation successful, which is the value which is being returned by resolve callback function. Okay, so it is going inside this dot then block, and we are getting the data, and the data is this value, so that's why I'm getting this value. Okay, so this was all about promises. It can have, as I have told you, it can have three states: resolve, reject, and pending. The pending means the operation is yet to be performed. Okay, so this is the case. This is a very, very simple example. I know you will be thinking that it's a very, very basic thing, but it is not. It gets complicated as you will use it in LWC when it comes to Salesforce, or also it is being asked in the interviews as well. So it is a very important topic. So in the next video, I will tell you what is the significance of async and await keywords when it comes to promises. So it is also a connected topic. So do watch that video as well. Also, I'm creating a playlist on JavaScript, and in the first video of that playlist, I have talked about reduce function. So do watch that video as well, and do subscribe for more videos on JavaScript.